Mi mamá is the reason I worked so hard this summer to get this garden back to its former glory, so that today on Dia de los Muertos I could honor her with a harvest, and then I would prep one of her favorite dishes, which was misiotes. So if you made it here, thank you so much. Bringing this garden back to life was definitely one of the hardest challenges, especially after the summer that we had here in the low desert. But every single time I felt like giving up, I thought about today, Dia de los Muertos, and how badly I wanted to honor my mother. I started it in her memory, and every single year on Dia de los Muertos, I like to harvest some of the produce from this beautiful garden. And last year I put it on her altar as an ofrenda, but this year I'm actually going to make one of her dishes, and then I'm going to put that on the ofrenda. And I'm going to work on that with my sister and my family. So let's go ahead and harvest an ofrenda for mi mamá. I've been saving this tromboncino squash. Wow. Oh, she would have loved to see that. She loved calabacitas growing up. It was one of the dishes that she cooked the most. And that's where I got my love for calabacitas. And I think she would have been so happy to see what these look like. And to know that there's so many cool varieties out there. Here I have eggplant, which I'm going to put in the misiotes. We didn't grow up eating eggplant, but I think my mom would have loved to try it. This bed is just overflowing with abundance, but I know we have more eggplants in here. Oh, I just gotta look. Oh, here's one. Wow, that's beautiful. I'm also gonna harvest some okra for the misiotes. It has a very similar texture to nopales for me. So I think my mom would have loved to try okra. Is that all the okra from this part? I think so. I spot a very ripe cantaloupe. She loved melones. This big plant in the middle is flor de Jamaica. And Jamaica was one of the drinks that I remember my mom making all the time. If we ever had any get-togethers during the summer, it was one of the most refreshing drinks. Like fresh flor de Jamaica. I think if I were to be able to tell her that I'm growing fresh Jamaica, she would say like, what? I didn't even know that was possible. Oh, every single time I harvest things from the garden, I always try and picture what her expression would have been like and how excited she would have been, and I feel like that makes it even more joyous for me as well. So I'm gonna harvest all the big calyxes, and then I can put a fresh cup of Jamaica on her altar. In here I have a lot more okra. Oh. And then I have a lot more Jamaica. In this one, it looks a lot plumper. Okay. I think I've got it all. And these are going to be the ingredients for the ofrenda. After I brought the garden harvest for Dia de los Muertos indoors, my husband, my sister, and I started working together as a team to chop up all of the veggies, wash them, prep the tofu, season it, air fry it. I made some red salsa using guajillo chiles. We had epazote to give it a really good flavor. And then we had a whole system going where we each filled up the packages with an abundance of veggies and sauce and seasonings, then closed them up and just kept setting them off to the sides so that we could have a big pile of them ready to be steamed. And in the meantime, I cooked the calabaza en tacha, which is a candied pumpkin that goes great in the fall and winter time because it's very sweet and creamy whenever you pair it with milk. And I love to cook it with the pumpkin seeds in there as well. That way the seeds absorb a lot of piloncillo syrup and it is amazing. I did make a mess from time time to time in the kitchen, but it wasn't that big of a deal. We just tidied up after. And in general, I just loved being able to spend time with my best friends and my family to create warm, happy memories on such a special day. And while we were in the kitchen working and cooking, my gremlins were working hard at their own crafts, drawing pictures for Nana, making cards for her. Overall, it was just such a joyous day for all of us. And honestly, one of the reasons that I chose misiotes for Dia de los Muertos, after my mom got really sick, I became responsible for cooking for a family of 8. And sometimes I had a little bit of help, but for the most part, the weight of the responsibility of feeding a large family fell on my shoulders as a kid. And it made me a very anxious person. It made me feel very lonely, and it created a lot of unhappy memories in the kitchen. But whenever I think of the happiest memories I had in the kitchen, a good chunk of them was making misiotes with my mom, because in those memories, she was feeling healthy and good. And I was able to be a child again, cooking alongside her and sort of taking the back seat and just helping to prep and make the misiotes together instead of having to take the lead in the kitchen. And oftentimes it took us a good chunk of time to make all of the misiotes. The ones that I made today are plant-based, but back then she used to make some that had nopales, onion, epazote, chicken drumsticks, bacon, and hot dog sausages alongside a red guajillo sauce. And it was amazing. As they steamed in the pot, the whole house smelled like this incredible dish. And when they were finally done, I would oftentimes burn my fingers opening up the little packages. It always felt like Christmas. And it was one of those meals where it did take quite a bit of work in the beginning to prep everything and make the packages, but once everything cooked, we were all able to sit down at the same time, and that was a really good feeling. But most of all, I just loved being able to spend time with my mom in the kitchen because she was a fantastic cook. And now as an adult, I love being able to create this dish for my family using a harvest from a garden that she inspired. The kids have been working on some cards, so I'm gonna go put them on the altar. Look how beautiful she looks. Here's a card. I'm bringing my mom some calabaza and tacha. Scooch that over. This is the final altar for my mom this year. It's beautiful. And on her altar we have some cards from her grandkids, a misiote, one of her favorite meals, a concha, she loved conchas with her coffee, the first kajari melon that we get to harvest this year. This is calabaza and tacha, which is that candied pumpkin with some warm milk, and then some jamaica, and then a cup of water behind, and then more pictures from her grandkids in the back. We're gonna come back out here tonight, but I think it's just gonna be my family and I, just remembering all the good times with Nana. Today has been amazing. It feels so fulfilling to have this altar in the garden this year, and next year I know I'm gonna make it even more beautiful for her. I just want to continue to honor her and to bring joy to other people the way she brought joy to us, and to continue to inspire other people the way she has inspired me. So with that said, thank you for joining me this Dia de los Muertos, and I hope that you have a beautiful day with your loved ones.